Patty Tuite is a singer-songwriter who embraces the genre of blues, rock music, and beyond. Strong influences in her style come from listening to notable artists such as Bonnie Raitt, Ella Fitzgerald, Etta James, and Susan Tedeschi. Already having four highly acclaimed releases to her credit, her most recent recording features a fantastic array of new material and collaborations, produced by Grammy Award winner Paul Nelson, who also plays electric, slide, and acoustic guitar on the album, to the excited expectations of her ever growing worldwide fan base. As well as playing with the Patty Tuitt Band from 1999 on, she's been playing blues from 2007 to 2017 with the Boilermakers and the Percolators. Patty reached out into jazz and played with an Eastern Connecticut band, Blue Steam, in 2012. It was a creative and expansive collaboration together, not only playing standards, but reinterpreting popular songs with a jazz bent. Hello, Patty. Welcome to Something Different.
Thanks for having me on your show, Mark.
I'm
Glad to
I'm
be here.
I'm so happy that you're here. I mean, I've heard your name so many times. I grew up in this area. I think you did too, right?
Yes, I
Eastern
grew up in
Connecticut.
New Orleans. Yep, and I went away for about 20 years, and then I moved back to town. And I'm actually in the homestead of where I grew up at.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I do really like being back in town. It's a great place to be.
It is. It's so beautiful out here. I remember driving around one day about halfway through the pandemic, and the DJ was playing his favorite blues artists, and you were at the top of his list. And I forget now exactly which station it was, but I think it was based out of like northwestern Connecticut, maybe Litchfield County area.
Nice. That's great. That's always good to hear.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a great reputation. Do you want to, I guess, go all the way back and tell me how it all started for you when you started listening to live music and when you started playing?
Okay. I have kind of an odd and assorted history because I've always loved music, and even when I was very little, like 4 or 5 years old, my brothers brought home Beatles records, and I would listen to them with my brothers. And so I loved their harmonies. I loved their energy. I loved all of the different ways that they had a variety of songs. They didn't just do one style, even though they changed a lot more in the late '60s than in their early days. But I really loved what they were able to do, and I would say that one of my biggest influences was that my brothers would turn me on to a bunch of music going through my teen years as well. Plus, Shabu was open then, and when I got into my later teens, I started going to Shabu, and it was an incredible experience to be there because he had really famous people who were going through for the night, and you'd be able to see. I've seen BB King there, and I saw John Lee Hooker, and I saw Bonnie Raitt, and I saw, all these people who at the time they were stellar performers, but they weren't quite as famous as they are now.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't really playing much at that point. I did take piano lessons from first to fourth grade, but it was all classical, and I didn't really know how to play any modern music. And then my senior year in high school, I decided to take up the guitar because I had one of my best friends. She wasn't happy with school, so she was spending a lot of her time at home playing guitar. So I said, "Well, can you show me some things?" And she was playing a little bit of Bonnie Raitt and Dan Fogelberg and Crosby, Stills and Nash, and I was really influenced by the folk scene at the time. So I learned how to play that, and then when I was in college, I bought myself my own guitar, and I was learning Heart songs because Heart was really famous in the
Yep.
late '70s and early '80s, and Nancy Wilson was one of my heroes,
Mm.
and So I didn't really know what I was going to do, but I did want to be in a band. But I didn't really pursue it until I was like 29 or 30 years old. And I I started to try to form an all girl band, and that lasted about 4 months. But then in 1991, I went to this blues jam up in Springfield because at the time I was working up in that area, and it was a blues jam that was really great. They had very good players. In fact, a lot of the players who are in Eight to the Bar and
Oh, yeah.
pretty well known bands in the Springfield and Connecticut area used to go and attend these Thursday night jams. And I was so nervous, and I was playing an acoustic guitar, but they were really, really welcoming and really helped me out. And they would give me tips, and they helped me with my stage presence because I was so nervous. I was a nervous Willie, you know. And so I just kept on going and going and going. And so from 1991 to 96, I would just be an attendee, and I would play. And then I had the great fortune of a person who wanted to start up a record company, wanted to do demos of me singing and playing. So we arranged a night of playing songs that would be demos at the TikTok Lounge in Springfield, Mass, which is it was on Worthington Street at the time, and not far from Theodore's, which is still around.
Mm.
And we had so much material that we decided to make a CD out of it. It wasn't originally intended for that, but it came out great. And so with that in my pocket, I marketed it to Nashville and to Memphis, and I got nothing in return. I was a tiny fish in a big sea, and I learned my lesson there. So so in '94 I came back to stores, and I started to I still went up to Springfield every week because that was my music was my religion at the time.
Yeah.
Uh, so in 1999 or 2000 I formed a band. I actually tried out for some bands, but I found that I wanted to do certain things a certain way, and you can't do it if you're not the leader. So I decided to start my own band, and I did. And ever since then, it's been a challenge, but it's been really fun because I started when I was like 40 years old, and I wasn't a person who had been playing with teenage bands or spent my 20s touring around or being free for everything because I had a regular job. And I worked until 2018, so it was always like a passionate hobby for me.
Kind of like me being on the radio. It's my hobby. I don't I should go back and say I know your brother John. I worked with him at WILI really briefly. You said
Yeah,
you're
he's a DJ at WILI or newsman, and then he has different shows.
and yeah. Was your other brother in radio too, or
Not in radio.
okay?
He did play drums a lot though. He was in the pep band in high school, and then he was in a drum corps in college, and he leads drumming circles down in Myrtle Beach now.
Oh, cool.
So we all like our music. My sister plays the flute, and John can play the drums, but he's shy about it. And we used to do a lot of singing for the Lions Club opening when we were youngsters. We would do a three-part harmony intro that my mom wrote. My mom was a huge influence because she could play piano really well. She could play it by ear, and she had a whole repertoire of songs. She would go from boogie woogie to hymns to Broadway shows to children's shows. And she was a teacher at the middle school in Mansfield, and she would direct the musicals that they had every other year. And so I would see her doing all of this stuff and learning things on her own, and it was quite an inspiration for me. But I didn't really get back into the piano much until my 30s, and I'm still shy to play it in public. I'm very comfortable playing guitar and accompanying me singing a song, but for me, it's like I can't keep my head split to do singing and piano.
Yeah.
Some
Y-
people have that gift.
Yeah. You mentioned being in the Springfield area a lot. Did you ever venture up to Northampton too?
Yes, I used to like to go to Northampton a lot, to the Iron Horse and Pearl Street. I played up there a few times with a small band that I had formed from the people that played at the TikTok. And we played in Holyoke and Chicopee and all those places. And Northampton is a really great cultural place to be.
Yeah.
So it's always good to go there and witness what's going on.
Have you performed at the Iron Horse?
Never at the Iron Horse. I've had about 50 people in my life have said, you should play there. And I'm like, yes, but whenever I get in touch, I just don't hear back. And
Oh,
that's that's the way it is for a lot of people. You know, you might have a really great band and great sound, but until you have the right combination of people to talk to and the right timing, then it's hard to do. I did play at Foxwoods Casino for several dates back in the early mid 2000s. We'd play at the Atrium Lounge there, and that was fun to do.
have you reached out to the current owners, the new owners of the Iron Horse?
No, I've probably gotten lazy, and I'm also not a person that likes to do my own self promotion. That's a really hard thing to do, and I have done it, and I still do it, but I have had other friends who were helping me get it done, and I got more gigs that way. And for a while, for 4 years, I was married to Jim Whitehouse, who wanted to be my manager, and he was getting us a lot of promotion and a lot of gigs. But we never made it to the Iron Horse. But I should check it out because I'm still friends with a person who works at a Springfield radio station, and he has a blues show on Thursdays, and he plays my stuff, and he'll promote me if I'm playing anywhere around, you know. So
Good.
it's um it's a hard road to be an independent musician, as you well know, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. But we're
And the
glad
only
that
thing
you
that's
do what you
true
do.
is that you have to play the music. And when I started writing, I really didn't start writing until the early 90s because I felt like I wasn't good enough. But then I'm like, well, I have these thoughts in my head. Why don't I try a song? And people responded well to them, so I just kept on writing. And being a songwriter it drives me because I have a lot of stuff in my head that is it needs to be translated to get out there.
You you transitioned to jazz for a little bit, I think in 2012, right? Did you find any
Yeah.
obstacles to transitioning from the blues?
Well, yes, I did because well, here's what happened is that I had my blues band like 2000 to 2006, and then that broke up, and then I was in a few other bands that were the Patty and the Percolators and Patty and the Boilermakers, and we were just doing standard songs, but I was also writing at the time. And then I wasn't really finding what I was looking for, and then a friend of mine from out in the Putnam area, Brooklyn, he wanted me to try out and be with a band that was doing more jazzy stuff. And it scared me because to me, belting the blues is like second nature. It's easy to do and I lose all of my inhibitions. But jazz, you have to really be softer with your voice and give it nuances and to give it feeling that you can't just belt it out. And so it was a big transition for me to do that. But I really loved doing it because I found that I had a talent for it and I had an affinity for it. And I love the old style jazz, like the Ella Fitzgerald jazz, and Diana Krall is a great artist. And so I really did enjoy doing that. Um, but then, you know, that band broke up. and and then I was really kind of disheartened and I didn't really play music for a few years. And then I just started playing in restaurants as a duo with my friend Wild Bill Fury. I don't know if you've heard of him,
No.
but he comes from the Enfield area and he's great on the guitar. And so we would just do duos. And then around 2017, I ran into at a Christmas party my current bass player, Mark Anuli. He had a stand up bass, and we were doing Christmas carols with the stand up bass. And so I asked him if he was interested in sitting in with me and Bill, and we could be a trio instead of a duo. And he started doing that. And we weren't really looking to do more than just the little circuit of, happy hours and dinner music. But then one of the owners of one of the restaurants built a stage, and he goes, "You need to get a drummer and you need to play as a band." Well, I'm like, okay. So, so we started playing there as a band. And then I was back into the whole thing. Like, I don't like to play alone. I don't like doing solo gigs at all. I like doing stuff where I can have a back and forth with someone else as a musician. It gives me someone else to play to as well as the audience.
Yep.
So so we had our band, and then we turned into a five piece because we had drums, we had bass, we had another lead guitar player, and then we had me, and who was the fifth person? Oh, we had a saxophone or keyboardist along with it. So
Mhm.
now we were really reaching heights, and we were getting asked to play at a lot of parties and events, and we were really moving along. And then the pandemic hit, and COVID shut everything down. And so we had about 8 months where I was going nuts, not having anything to do, and not even really being able to practice we usually practice in my basement. It's like a den. And I couldn't have people over, all of that sort of stuff. But I had two friends come over who had played in my band previously, and I asked, we sat at a picnic table and we distanced ourselves and everything else. And I asked if they were interested in recording an album with me because I had enough material to do it. And they were like, "Yeah, but how are we going to rehearse?" And I'm like, "Well, I have a pretty good sized yard, and we'll just set the PA up outside and we'll practice this summer, and then we'll record it in the fall." And that's what we did. We were like a baseball diamond of 15 feet away, that sort of thing, outdoors. And so it turned out really well. And then the by the time that we started to record, the vaccinations were coming out, and so we were getting to be more comfortable. Initially for the first week we were wearing masks every day to the recording studio, and by the time it was over, it was like, you're becoming fast friends with everybody that's there, and it's like, okay, I'm not going to wear it. And I couldn't wear it when I was singing anyway, even though I was in a booth. So I like the recording process too. I had made three previous CDs before these last two that I recorded them either in my basement or in a small studio. And so they were basically self-produced CDs, and I'm proud of them too. But these, it was a whole different experience going to a studio and having all the booths set up and having a producer. The producer was Paul Nelson, who had been Johnny Winter's manager and a guitarist in his own right. And he did a lot of helping Johnny Winter to get off of a lot of his vices. Johnny Winter was not doing well for a while, and he's albino, so he was pretty much blind. And Paul got him to see a laser specialist for his eyes, and it made a huge difference for him towards the end of his life. So so he was really fun to work with, and he respected my ideas and what I wanted to do. But I also had to respect him if he had a different opinion. We had to really negotiate. And that was a totally different process because before it was always just like, "Well, Patty, what are we going to do? What do you want me to do? How do you want this to sound?" I'm like, "Well, let's try this." And so so it was nice to have somebody who had a lot of experience in the industry to work with. And I think that the two CDs that came out in 2021 and 2022 um, were really professionally done, and they are radio friendly, and they're really my best products. I don't know if I like all the songs better than my previous songs, but I think that every song came out well on the CDs. And
Yeah.
I'm calling them CDs. They're recordings. I mean, hardly anybody uses CDs now anymore, which is a frustration. And that's actually a complaint I have about live music now is that you used to be able to make a decent amount of money by having merchandise and selling your products
Yeah.
of CDs. And now that people don't even have CD players in their cars, they're not getting them. And I had a big difference between 2021 and 2022 of my sales of CDs. You know, I had ordered a whole bunch and I practically ran out the first year. And then the second year is like I probably sold like 100 or 150 and I had bought 500, you know.
Oh, wow.
So
But now
it's very
sometimes I see people with like a big QR code in the back now instead of like a little case with the CDs in it. You'll see a big sign with a QR code.
right. Well, I am on Spotify and I was on Apple. I don't know if I still am, but I had you can be on all of the streaming platforms, but that gives you barely anything. Like if I sold a CD at a concert for $10 or $15,
Yep.
that was basically for me to take and then to split how I wished.
Yep.
But for the streaming services, you're getting like less than a penny per play. And you have to make so many plays for them to even cut you a check. And
Yeah.
I think I got a check for $8 for one quarter. It's like ridiculous. And we had a publicist, and he sent our CDs all around the world, and I was getting emails and interviews from Croatia and Australia and Amsterdam. I was getting all of this international attention, but then once your time flies by, then you kind of get played less and you fade again.
Yep.
And one person who I admire a lot, and she's a hero for me as well as Nancy Wilson, is Bonnie Raitt. I mean,
Yeah.
she's just a blues woman to the core,
Mm.
and she has been through it all. And you know, her breakout album was Nick of Time,
Yep.
and Nick of Time wasn't really a bluesy album; it was more of a pop album. And but she's paid all the dues to be able to do whatever she wants. But even when she was touring, I heard in an interview that she said, you can be the best out there doing this and you can get your moments of recognition. But then 6 months later, you're having a hard time making things work for you because you get found and then you're lost again. You get found and then you fade. And no matter how popular you are or how much you think that people will come to see your shows or will buy your materials, it peaks and it valleys. And so that's the way that I look at mine. I'm like a miniature version of that on a more local, regional level.
Yeah.
But
Y-
since I grew up around here, I am pretty well known,
Yeah.
comparatively speaking, to some people, I guess. And I'm very proud of the fact that people like my music and that they recognize me and that they'll want to ask me what I'm playing next and things like that. So, speaking of playing next, we're going to be playing at the Packing House
Yeah.
March 21st.
Yep.
And you tell them about the Packing House.
So the packing house, doors open at 6:30. Make sure you get there early and find a good seat. Great place to see a show. You've played there a few times, but anybody who has not been there, it's great place to see a show. It's intimate and yet any seat you get is a good place to see the show. And that's going to be again on Saturday, March 21st, the Packing House in Wellington, Connecticut, right on Route 32, just before that little 90-degree turn there. Yep.
Yeah,
Bring,
it's
bring
in
your own
the old
food
mill, brick building. Yeah, you can bring food and
and booze. Yep.
some people bring little candelabras even. Well, I don't even know if they can light them, but they bring a tablecloth and they set it all up to be like a real buffet. But yeah, we were really fortunate. We sold out 2 years in a row. Last year and the year before, we sold out. They have a maximum of 120 tickets, and so haven't asked how we're doing lately, but they are selling, and I know that we're having a good amount of people coming. So you can go to the Packing House website and order yours now so that you can have them in time to come see us because
At the
it's going to be right.
packinghouse.us.
Yes. And once you get on the site, then you have to go and look at the events, and then you look at Patty Tuite, and then it has a ticket place for you to get your tickets. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's I'm really looking forward to it because
I hear you have a wild show. The crowd likes to get up and start dancing.
yeah, people do like to dance, and people do participate in it, and we try to have it so. And what I'm really proud of too is that people are knowing my lyrics and they're singing them right back to me, which
Oh,
is
cool.
one of the greatest honors you can have as a songwriter musician is that
Mm.
people know your music. It isn't just like they're listening to it and like, oh, this is nice. They're like, yeah, I have our CD. I know the words. I'm singing along, and that's a great feeling.
You mentioned, you started mentioning one of your band members. Can you go over the rest of your band? I hear you gel really, really well with your band members, and you've got some outstanding members.
Oh, I do. It really crystallized when we were doing the recording at the up in Cape Cod at the music room with Paul Nelson, um, because we all went there and we had worked in outside all summer long, so we had this whole bond of how we were going to do this. And so I have Jan Youngden is a keyboard player who can also play flute. She plays accordion. She has a guitar, which is uh, you sling it over your shoulder like a guitar, and you can play it down by your hip. So that's why they call it a keytar. And you can also make it slide and do all of these interesting effects. And
She seems like she has a personality up on stage.
yeah, she's great. You know what's funny is that she has platinum blonde hair, and if you ever saw Edgar Winter do Frankenstein when he was playing that a long time ago back in the 70s,
Mm.
she looks just like him when she plays the guitar. And so she also can play the accordion, and so she can do four different instruments. We try to incorporate it into the show.
Good.
And then another person is Peggy Ann Contos Harvey, who interestingly has a bluegrass background. She didn't really start playing popular music until probably about 2021. I met her through Bruce John, where she was accompanying Bruce John.
Mm.
And so we share her. And she can play alto and soprano saxophone. She can play violin. She can play harmonica. And she can play piano, but since Jan's already doing that, we don't usually do that. We have one or two songs where we'll do little musical chairs and be adjusting for what we need to do for the song. But and everybody in the band is good at singing. Um, we do three-part harmonies for a lot of our songs,
Oh,
and
good.
so it gives it a lot of texture. And we have so many different lead instruments now. And I play slide guitar, and I don't do a lot of regular lead guitar because I never got into it. I just like to write the songs and play along with them. Now, the other players in the band, the stellar rhythm section is Mark Anuli plays bass, and Judy Tompkins plays the drums. And I get a lot of compliments about Judy because Judy has she's a very high energy person. And I think that she wanted to do metal when she was younger. But we've kind of reined her in a little bit to be able to do different style songs, and we do a couple jazz songs. You know, we have a diverse repertoire. And in the last couple of years, most of our gigs we've just been doing purely originals because we have a large enough repertoire to just play all originals. If people want to hear covers, we can possibly do that. But
Mm.
one of our favorites was doing a Late in the Evening by Paul Simon, segueing into Sympathy for the Devil.
Oh, wow.
And so it's that just gives you a taste of how different we are.
Definitely. It sounds like a lot of fun going to see you perform live, and we have to wrap up. We have less than 2 minutes, so I want to thank you for joining me. Do you want to play a quick game?
Sure.
It's called Lyrical Ponderings. I'm going to give you a song title. The song title is in the form of a question. You
Okay.
can either tell me who sang the song or answer the question.
Oh, wow. Boy, this is interesting. Okay.
All right. Pick a number between 1 and 202.
100.
Do you love me now that I can dance?
Oh, boy. Um,
Do you love me
well,
now that I can dance?
I don't know the song, but if I see you dance, I might love you.
Great answer. That is the Contours from 1962.
Wow. Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
Patty,
I'm usually
thank you
pretty
so
good at trivia.
much. I can't wait to see you down at the packing house, and I hope you fill the house again.
Well, thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to seeing you. And thanks for having me on your show. It's been a total pleasure.